Hello again everyone, it's Eugene from Eugene Reviews, and here are 5 things you need to know before watching the newest Marvel Cinematic Universe film known as The Eternals. Number 1. Who are the Eternals? How can I explain this without losing your attention? The Eternals are a race of nearly immortal humanoids that were created by these cosmic life forms known as Celestials. I know, we're getting into some deep nerd and geek shit here, so bear with me. But anyways, these Celestials created the Eternals to be the defenders of Earth nearly 1,000,000 years ago. However, the Celestials also created these counter beings known as Deviants, which would inevitably become what the Eternals would defend the Earth from. There are plenty of characters that make up the Eternals that I'm sure Disney and Marvel will explain magnificently, as they have done with previous seemingly unknown properties such as Guardians of the Galaxy in the past. So as time goes on, I'm sure we will know more about these characters to come, but for the meantime, those are what we would call the Eternals. Number 2. This film is being written and directed by Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. Now, Marvel's had a good track record of getting some notable directors to steer the ship of their projects. For instance, Jon Favreau, Kenneth Branagh, Taika Waititi, Joss Whedon, James Gunn, Ryan Coogler, and the Russo brothers. However, it is arguable that none of these have such a fast-paced success as the director of The Eternals, Chloe Zhao. Though not a lot in her catalog, Chloe Zhao has been making independent, critically acclaimed films as of late. And just recently, she's been receiving top accolades for her work in Nomadland, most notably winning for Best Picture and Best Director at the Academy Awards this past year. It's also worth noting that this is the first time that Marvel highlighted their directors in one of their previews. Case in point. Now, Zhao was hired onto the project years before her Oscar win, but that didn't stop Kevin Feige and company from flaunting her success. With that recent success, Zhao has been given a little bit more creative freedom for this project, and it's going to be unique to see what kind of work is showcased from someone that is quickly decorated and as freely creative as she is. Number 3, the unique star-studded cast for this film. It wouldn't be an eagerly anticipated Marvel film without some notable stars attached to the project. Here are a list of notable stars involved in this movie. Gemma Chan from Crazy Rich Asians, Richard Madden, notably from Game of Thrones, Kumail Nanjiani, most notably from The Big Sick, Salma Hayek from films such as Desperado and The Hitman's Bodyguard, Kit Harington, also from Game of Thrones, and Angelina Jolie, who needs no introduction or explanation. There are other unique castings as well as unique character choices worth noting, like actress Leah McHugh, who is the MCU's youngest casted superhero, like actress Lauren Ridloff, who is being known as the first deaf superhero in the MCU, and finally Brian Tyree Henry's portrayal of the character Phastos, which will be labeled as the first openly gay character in the MCU. So many stars, so many unique characters, and I can see the Funko Pops flying off the shelves. Number 4. The events of this film takes place 8 months after the events of Avengers Endgame. So yeah, chronologically, the majority of the events of this film will take place 8 months after the events of Avengers Endgame, with a couple flashbacks here and there. Now, I know I had mentioned that these beings were created millions of years ago on Earth, and I know you're wondering, why are they only showing up now? Well, according to the narrative of the film, yes, these Eternals have been walking amongst the Earth for millions of years, but their one sole restriction was to never interfere with human affairs, which would explain why they don't necessarily appear throughout the entire MCU thus far. But it seems now something has triggered them to break their pact. Since that infamous snap from Iron Man in Endgame that brought back half of living inhabitants in the universe, it would supposedly trigger this global altering emergence that would threaten the Earth and would pit the Eternals against their counterparts, the Deviants. So I'm sure we'll get more into their absence and involvement in the film, but that's the gist so far without actually having seen the movie. And number 5, this film will have quote-unquote major ripple effects for the future of the MCU. President of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige has stressed as recently as August that the events of this film would quote-unquote have a major ripple effect for the future of the MCU. To what effect he speaks of, we can only speculate and theorize as of this point. So the following are more so rumors and theories and speculations about what could happen after the events of the Eternals. Being that this does deal with outer worldly cosmic beings, it is safe to say that this could be labeled as what Mysterio puts as an Avengers level threat. So with all this occurring, one can heavily assume that the Avengers could be involved in this very soon. And one big theory and speculation, and big with a capital B, that the involvement of the Eternals and the Celestials could trigger the presence of, what's that one group called? Oh yeah, the X-Men. Other future writers would dabble into this lore and would go so far as to say that the Celestials would implement the X gene in humans. I'm not saying with a confident heart that the Celestials are going to create the X-Men, but if any story is going to have that major implication that your president labels as a major ripple effect for the future of the MCU, then it's got to be this story. Right? Anyways, those are your 5 things to know before you watch The Eternals in theaters. The Eternals will be released only in theaters on November 5th. So hopefully this helps if you had any questions or setbacks on the film. I for sure am eager to watch this film, and I'm just like you, I'm kind of in the unknown about this, but you know, Disney and Marvel has been hitting it out of the park ever since Iron Man, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. So let's hope for good things for this. Hopefully you guys got your tickets. I haven't got mine yet, but I'm gonna get them soon. And let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any questions that you also had about this. I'm sure that I'll be able to answer it. Leave them in the comments section. Thank you for tuning in. This is Eugene signing off for another one of these 5 things, and I will see you again for another one of these 5 things for the next big blockbuster movie.